Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at some of the aroids that I have that are doing pretty good. As you probably know if you've been watching this channel, I've had an interesting relationship with aroids. Well, not aroids, but because I do grow alocasias and stuff with no problem, or very little problem. But it's the philodendrons, the anthuriums, the monsteras, all those things. They seem to give me a hard time. The easy, low-care things, I think I overwater. So I've been trying to change my watering habits, and it's been working out. I need to neglect a little bit more. I thought I was neglecting, but I guess I need to do it a little bit more. Some things more than others, but I'm really trying to pay attention to it. But over the summertime, I brought most of my stuff outside, as you guys probably know, and that's really helped with some of the pest problems that were plaguing me, like thrips. And yeah, so without further ado, let's just look at some of these plants that are doing well at the moment. So first off, let's look at this guy, because he's the heaviest. I gotta rethink putting things in stone pots. But this is the Monstera deliciosa. It is doing beautifully. I got it last year. I think I got it last summer, maybe late spring, and it grew outside for the first little bit, and it grew beautifully by the front door, and then I brought it inside in the fall, and it did well for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and then it started to deteriorate. It started to get darkening edges. This one is a slightly older leaf. I don't know whether you're able to see, but it has I'll get a close-up there. Brown spotting under the leaves and like pitting, and that's thrip damage. It's that brown corky kind of look, and it just was terrible. The leaves, it started off not so bad, and I was wiping down leaves, and then it just got really, really bad in the house. And it got to the point where the leaves were unfurling, deformed, and they were browning really, really quickly. And I would look, and there was like a huge population. I could have taken it to the shower, but it's so hard to take it from the basement all the way to the second floor where the shower is of the house. So up 2 floors, and I've got plants throughout the house, right? So I don't have thrips everywhere in the house, just where the Monstera is, so in the basement. So my fear was if I track it upstairs and the leaves are shaking because I'm going up the steps, I'm going to be dropping some thrips. So I don't want to spread my infestation. So I ended up bringing it outside, showering it off. I shower it off regularly, and it seems to be working. These are the newer leaves that are coming out, and they don't have any of the markings of thrip. Thank God. It's taken a while, but being outside, there's predatory insects that will prey on them. The rain will wash things away, and yeah, just in general, the plant is stronger outside. It's kept in a shadier spot. It gets morning sun, but it gets shaded from the afternoon heat. I have it close to the brick wall, so it gets extra warmth on those cool nights that we've been having. Oh my gosh. So I spray the wall with the hose, and it really lifts the humidity around that general area. So this plant, I don't know whether you're able to see, but it has some glorious roots coming down the side of the pot. They look like little worms coming down, so it might trigger some people, but if you're a gardener, you actually don't mind those sorts of things. So I need to go in here and clean it up a little bit more. I've got just some browning going on down in there, just the old stuff where I've removed things. I'll just go in and clean that out just to pretty it up a bit. But it's been growing outside for the last few months, and it's doing well. So in a week or two, maybe in 2 weeks, I'll start spraying it off with insecticidal soap just to prep it for coming inside, and then I will move it back down into the basement. Actually, it might not find its way to the basement. I might put it in a well-lit bedroom, just so that it kind of has a spot of its own, and it's away from other things, just in case it has thrips again. So another one, let's start off with something small. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen this plant posted a few times. This is the Alocasia cuprea. It is beautiful. I can't remember the common name. It's like red velvet or red something. I don't know. But look at that beautiful leaf. The older leaves were quite small when I got it. The leaves were tiny, so it's doing some nice sized leaf jumps. We get some beautiful guttation coming from the bottom of the leaf in the mornings. So the plant is doing its thing the way that it should be doing it. It's a happy camper. So the guttation is the little drop of water that comes off. It's not syrupy. It's just water. Alocasias are really known for it. They take up so much water through the day that they have to expel it at night. they use it so much, especially on these hot days. And if they have too much water in the root system, they let it out. So anyway, the guttation can actually, if there's too much salt in the media, it can burn the edges of the leaves with salt deposits. So yeah, just rinse off your leaves every now and again, and yeah, it should enjoy that. So with alocasias in general, just be very mindful of spider mites. Just keep your eyes peeled for them. Once a week, go and just inspect the leaves and see if there's anything there. They can come on fast and furious, and they can decimate your plant in no time. They don't necessarily kill your plant, but they make the leaves look terrible. But generally speaking, alocasias are relatively fast growing, so even if you removed all the leaves because of an infestation, it shan't be long before you see a new leaf pop out. So just keep that in mind. This particular alocasia is supposedly a slower growing alocasia than others, so every plant has their own growth characteristics, as we know. So that's that one, cuprea. Let's go to this one. This one I bought last summer. I think it was last fall, I can't remember. And it is doing beautifully. This one is Philodendron Tahiti. I had this one growing when I first got it. It was in a hanging basket, and I wanted to grow it up a pole. Obviously, with philodendrons, you get a better growth when they're allowed to grow up a pole rather than ramble. And this one here, I transferred it into a pot, made this coconut coir moss pole, or a coir pole, a plant support, but it doesn't seem to be attaching. It doesn't even want to try. So I am probably going to try making an actual moss pole. I'm starting to make some self-watering moss poles. Let me know if you want to see how I'm doing that in a video. Let me know down in the comments. And they seem to work fairly well. You can water them 8 times a day if you would like to water your plants obsessively, like me sometimes. It might be a good addition. You can water the pole and not the plant. So anyway, this one I had growing upstairs in a southwest window that got really good light, but it was growing there in the winter, in the fall and in the winter, so the light levels were lower, and the leaves were getting smaller after I got it, and I ended up moving it down into the grow room where it got better light and slightly higher humidity. The humidity wasn't really that much higher, but it was sitting next to a humidifier, so I could be wrong. The ambient room humidity was about 50%, but maybe since it was about a foot away from the humidifier, it might have been closer to 80. So it started growing unbelievably. The leaves started to get bigger, and the stem size, I don't know whether you're able to see, the stem size went from the size of a pencil all the way up to almost an inch across in no time. And look at those aerial roots developing. It's incredible. And this plant just doesn't seem to stop. There's always a leaf coming out somewhere, and it's beautiful. It's just amazing. So this one is Philodendron Tahiti. It looks very similar to the Mayoi. I think the Mayoi has a slightly smaller leaf. I want to add that one to my collection at some point soon enough, whenever I can find it. I think I might need to repot this as well. As you can see, we've got roots coming out the bottom of the pot, but we'll see. I kind of like it the way that it is. I'm not going to go crazy and transplant it just yet. Maybe next spring. So that is Philodendron Tahiti. Next is an honorable the next three will be honorable mentions because they're just things that I've been watching recently. This painted lady, I need to make it a little poll. I got this one this spring, and I got this from ASEAN Plant Exports in Thailand, and it came in and it was lovely. And then the first leaf that came in my care, it was kind of misshapen or discolored, but it was still a leaf. And then the next leaf that came out, where are we here? Started to look a little bit better, and now we're starting to get a new leaf. So this new leaf is starting to look like it's going to be a lot bigger. So in the coming weeks, when I get some more wicking cord, I'm going to make this one a short moss pole. I'll probably make a moss pole that's maybe 1.5 feet, maybe 18 inches to 20 inches tall, and let it kind of scramble up that for a little while and see how it does. I'm very interested to see how this one grows. I love the pink stems. I love the yellowy green leaves. At first I didn't really like the yellowy green leaves. It kind of looked like it was sick, but it's growing on me. And that slight variegation, the marbling as it were, it kind of goes away with the older leaves, as you can see here. But then it comes out and it's really pretty. It's a really interesting plant to watch. So yeah, this one is Painted Lady Philodendron. I think the prices of all of these things have come down quite a bit, so you're not going to break the bank. I think you could probably find a small size one for about $25 Canadian, maybe a little bit more, depending on where you go, but they're coming down in price for sure. I think when I first saw these, they were about $100, which is ridiculous. I don't think anything should be that much, unless it's absolutely rare and hard to find. Another one for honorable mentions. After I repotted this one, this is my Philodendron Gloriosum. Look at that beautiful leaf. It's so pretty. It's as big as my head, a little bit bigger than my head. So this guy, I repotted it, and it started to struggle. I don't know why these things start to struggle for me right after repot. They take a really long time to acclimate. And so I pulled it outside because I'm like, well, if you're not doing well, you might as well get out. Get a little bit more sun, a little bit of airflow. The spray with the hose is really a good thing. I think it was also getting some thrip. It was next to, or relatively close to, the Monstera, which is down here. So I think it was just a little bit of a pest problem. I think it also started to get scale insects inside, and I was wiping it down regularly. But the leaves were coming in, and then they were burning off on the sides. Might have been humidity, but I doubt it. I think it was more insect problems, and then also wiping down leaves on a regular basis can also cause a fungal problem, so there could have been some sort of fungal issue. Yeah, so anyway, I'm really excited to see a beautiful leaf finally that's not distorted in any way. I don't mind a little distortion. Nature is nature, but this one is looking really, really nice, and I just really wanted to share it. And then another one, I think this is the last one. I'm super excited about this one. I bought this from, you won't even recognize it, I'm sure. Can anybody guess what this one is? No? Okay. It just looks like any sort of philodendron. It is a philodendron. This is a Philodendron Biliary, and I bought this one from ASEAN last spring, I can't remember, whenever I did my order. You guys can look for unboxing videos if it matters that much. And I ended up, it was growing okay, and then it really started to decline, and then I believe it was root rot, and then I don't know, it lost all of its leaves, and I ended up putting it in moss in a prop box, and then it didn't do well in the prop box for whatever reason. What doesn't do well in a prop box? And then I opted to try some leca. I put it in a container with some leca and some nutrient solution, mostly water for the beginning, just until it started to root, and then I started with some nutrient solution. But then it was a closed container that I had the leca in, and it was starting to get murky down in the bottom, and I'm like, well, how do I clean that without really disturbing the root system? So I opted to switch it over into a homemade PON that I should link the video that they got the recipe from Jungle Flowers Canada. Jungle Plants? Jungle Flowers. Jungle Flowers Canada. Grania, thank you very much for that recipe and where to buy all the ingredients, because it was not necessarily, it was like non-skid things, anti-slip or like oil absorbers, but they're all natural materials. So it's the homemade PON, and in just a couple of weeks, I think I've had this planted in this maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't know. The timeline for me this year has just gone so fast. So I think it's been 2 weeks, but it might be 3. And when I planted it in here, there was some roots, not a lot. It was ridiculous. Once I planted it in here, I started to see the roots start to develop along the side. I don't know that it'll pick up on camera. There's a root coming out the side here. There's a root that's looping around right by my finger as well. Hopefully it's not just looking at my face. And then down at the bottom, the roots have already reached the bottom of the container. Like, they're already there in a few weeks. And I've also noticed that the leaves are starting to come out, and they're starting to sit a little higher on the plant. So it's starting to produce some new growth. So I'm really impressed with this homemade PON, and I'm going to be switching a few of my other plants that I have a tendency to overwater into these. So I just need to keep a little bit of water in the reservoir, and then just pop them in. If it sits, the little container sits really high in the cache pot, then I will add some a wicking cord or something to pull the water up to make it into a self-watering pot. So the good thing about PON is you can add some slow-release fertilizer or something into the pot, so you don't necessarily have to use a nutrient solution. You could use water, or you could just use your fertilizer of choice. It's kind of a soil alternative, where LECA is more of a semi-hydro kind of situation. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one grows. I really thought I killed it. The Biliary, for one, it's my name. Well, my name isn't Biliary, but it's Bill. And I love the orange stems of it, and I love the long leaves. Oh, they're such a pretty plant. Hopefully, soon I'll be able to grow this one to its full size again. So yeah, this is the last plant I have to show you. This video's been long enough, and I'd love to see what you're growing. I'd love to see some of your aroids that are doing well. Give me some tips, some suggestions. I'm really trying hard here, and it's starting to pay off. Things are going to go to hell when things come inside, I'm sure. Light levels are very different. Humidity changes when the furnace turns on. Light levels are so much lower. So it's going to be a really hard experience again, but I've had a little bit of a reprieve over the summer. So hopefully I'm going to take what I've learned and scale it back a bit, and hopefully not kill anything over the winter. Anyway, until next time, you guys, happy growing.